For Creamer Media's Polity, I am Shannon de Rehove. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome.
Thank you.
Has the ANC changed, and if so, has it lost its moral high ground that it enjoyed when it was first unbanned?
Yeah, one hears a lot of people lamenting in the social media lamenting the fact that the ANC is no longer the ANC of Oliver Tambo, Walter Sisulu, and Nelson Mandela. And in some senses, there is an ethical reason why people voice this lament. However, it suggests that there is a sort of essence attached to the ANC, and what you really need to do is talk to some veterans and they will guide you to this essence. Mm-hmm. Now, while this is innocent and while this is a worthy search for an ethical core, it's not actually how organizations function, because the ANC of 1912 can't be the same as the ANC of 2014. Mm-hmm. There's not some essential quality that remains unchanged. Even basic principles, where one says, for example, that the ANC of 1912 believed in unifying all the African people, even if that remains a principle in 2014, what it means in 2014 is different, because the conditions that are encountered are very different. In 1912, it was just after Union. It was different in the 40s and the 50s. It's different today when you have universal suffrage. Nevertheless, I do think that there is a problem that people have in that the levels of corruption, lawlessness, which I've referred to in previous interviews, were not seen in the presidency of Mandela. They were not seen in the presidency of Mbeki. Even if Mbeki was controversial, no one has alleged anything like the type of misdemeanors that have been put at the door of Jacob Zuma. And so what I believe is that there are certain qualities that drew some of us into the liberation struggle, and there were moral reasons. And I think they were tied to political understanding. And what I think has happened in recent years is that they have packed membership into some provinces like KwaZulu-Natal. Now, when you grow very, very quickly, obviously people are not imbued with political understanding in the same way as people were, obviously, when the ANC was illegal, because you had to take risks and land up in jail, be tortured, maybe even die. So you really need to understand why you were doing this. But even in the early period of unbanning, there was extensive induction of members into the ANC, not adequate, because it was very difficult to suddenly have this influx. But what you've got in parts of South Africa is sudden, huge growth. And one can see this in the depoliticization of the ANC message. The ANC is not grappling with alternative political ideologies. There used to be this idea of battling for the soul of the ANC. You used to hear this a lot in the 1990s. You don't hear that anymore, because the COSATU leadership in general, SACP and ANC, they're not battling. They're actually agreeing on what must be done, defend Zuma being the primary goal of most of their efforts. So while I don't think there's an essence that can be discovered, I think we can learn from the lessons of these earlier leaders, and those people who do want to retrieve these qualities, these ethical qualities, will need to interpret the lives and the examples of these earlier people. Not all of them are leaders. Some of them are ordinary rank and file people whose names are not in history books.
Do you think the ANC can recover the respect it once enjoyed?
Nothing is final in politics, in the sense that we can say that everyone is compromised by their condoning or complicity in what has been happening in the Jacob Zuma period, and lots of people hold their positions because of their links with him. However, if there were a change in leadership, it's possible that it could set in train other things. But my view is that removing Zuma on its own is not going to recover the integrity of the ANC as an organization, because the Zuma phenomenon is based on the undermining of legality, constitutionalism, general integrity, and it has led to a lack of trust of leadership by those who have in the past supported the ANC. So even if people do appear to be supporting someone, it's not really for the same reasons as in the time when you face dangers. It's now because an association with a particular leader at whatever level may bring certain benefits. So we need to eradicate these networks of clientelism and corruption before we can say that the ANC can recover its qualities, or the qualities that we attributed to it, because maybe these qualities were not always there. I mean, something I remember, just by way of concluding that answer, after 1990, I was sent by the ANC to a conference together with a man who had been on death row, fairly famous MK person. And we had been given quite a lot of dollars because we thought we would have to pay for meals at this conference. Mm-hmm. When we got there, we didn't have to pay. So I don't know how I said it, that I thought we'd have to give this money back. This man said to me, no, when you go on a mission, they give you money, and that's for the mission. And I didn't say anything, because I thought this is not an MK mission. And I remember when we were on the way back, we stopped in transit at some airport, and when he went through the metal detector, it went ping, and he had brought out a ring. He'd obviously used the dollars to buy a ring. So what I think is there may have also been some of these tendencies earlier on, because when you operate in secret, it's possible for you to steal money. I was given money to work underground, and it's possible I could easily have used that money instead of issuing pamphlets and all sorts of illegal activities. I could really have gone to Levinson's or one of these clothes places, or they didn't have some Hugo Boss here in those days. I could have gone to one of these places, got lots of clothes, but said, I did all this work, but the newspapers didn't recover it. So I think no one has a clear, definite, final answer. But personally, I do believe that very many people did go in for ethical reasons. Whether they succumbed to temptation or whatever the reason is, things have gone off. But I think it may be possible that it can be recovered. I can't tell.
We'll wait and see.
Mm.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Creamer Media's Polity about the ANC, the moral high ground and ethics.